Subnautica 2 has been finally released into early access, exactly 5 years since the full release of the previous title, Below Zero. It was one of the most wishlisted games on Steam, where it had 5 million wishlists and managed to hit 2 million sold copies in just a few hours after release, and had a peak of 467,000 concurrent players. But how did they achieve this? How did Unknown Worlds, originally an indie game studio that was on the edge of bankruptcy, manage to create one of the most beloved game series in the world? Today, we are literally going to dive into the game design of Subnautica. Unknown Worlds was founded in 2001 by Charlie Cleveland. Their first project was a mod called Natural Selection for Half-Life. Because of the success of the mod, the studio started working on a sequel that was released in 2005 as Natural Selection 2, which was an innovative game that combined first-person shooter and top-down strategy game modes. Even though the game had a solid player base, it was not enough. Since Charlie always wanted to make a cozy exploration game, they started working on a game that we now know as Subnautica. They had a rough start, always low on money, and game features not working out. They had managed to make the most early looking game to show at the 2014 PAX East Game Convention, and later uploaded it to Steam to early access. They had no idea what was about to start happening. Some people bought the game, and then more people came, and more. They shared their experience with the game, and developers decided to listen. But the players were not talking about the game mechanics. They were talking about the way the game makes them feel. The darkness, the mystery, the open spaces, making them question, is something out there? Something big? Something dangerous? And made them want to explore deeper and deeper. Because of that, Unknown Worlds decided to completely shift the main focus of the game, and decided to shape the game together with the player base. The game grew even bigger, with YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier making Let's Plays that brought in even more players. Not because of the gameplay or the story, but because they see a grown man scream at the top of their lungs when a giant fish grabs their submarine.
What is that thing? Oh jeez! Oh no! Ah! 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 I died! Oh my god!
Just like that, Subnautica went from nothing through near bankruptcy to a title loved by millions of players, because they listened to the community and did what players wanted to see. Now we will look from my perspective onto the exact features that make Subnautica so unique and fun to play. Number 1. Leviathans. Leviathans are probably the main selling point of this game. Leviathan is a class of giant organisms, either passive or aggressive. The Reaper Leviathan is probably the most famous out of all Leviathans that you will find in game. Being the first aggressive Leviathan, many players stumble upon. First, you'll hear it scream, that usually scares many players from even approaching that location. If we look into its databank entry, we will find out that it uses echolocation, meaning that if you hear it, it already knows you're there. Its main ability is to grab a player in a submarine with its mandibles and violently shaking and dealing damage to the sub, eventually letting go and letting players escape. The fact that it does not completely destroy the submarine makes the experience way scarier, because if it would kill you immediately, the fear factor is gone. But when it lets go, you are still on a mission. Getting the hell out of there. For me, this is a perfectly executed Leviathan that shows new players what is this game about. Another thing that Subnautica does good is that it can scare you with just a calm sentence. When entering the dunes, which is a biome in Subnautica 1 that mostly Reapers inhabit, the PDA will tell you this line.
Detecting multiple Leviathan class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it?
Just this line scares many players before even seeing a silhouette of something big. Another line will play when approaching the edge of the map.
Warning, entering ecological dead zone. Adding report to databank.
The edge of the map, called the dead zone, is just a sudden steep decline in terrain opening into an area with dark waters. If you continue to swim out of bounds, you will hear a roar. If you turn around, you will see a giant, translucent eel Leviathan swim towards you, dealing massive damage to you and your submarine, not letting you go until you return to a playable area. While other games just put an invisible barrier stopping you physically, Subnautica makes you regret that you even attempted to go out of bounds. The second game manages to scare even veteran players with the dead zone. When I wanted to see what had they prepared, I was instead greeted by a red border that said Subnautica 2 is actively being developed while in early access. So I thought that no giant Leviathan was added yet. As I was about to swim away, I spotted this goddamn thing coming at me at full speed, launching its children and one-shotting me. This was probably the most scared I ever was when playing any of the 3 games, because I was prepared, then I wasn't, and then it came. Oh yeah, and they can also jump. Number 2. The soundtrack. Subnautica has one of the best soundtracks out of all games, perfectly fitting into the current situation. The music ranges from anything to calm when in a safe biome, to deep and eerie when entering the blood kelp zone, to a giant Leviathan attacking your Cyclops. I really like the track Crystal Caves from Below Zero. This track plays in the Crystal Caves biome and perfectly captures that feeling I have about this location. It's beautiful, but mysterious and scary at the same time. The tracks make you feel alone, but what if you aren't so alone? Simon Chylinski and Ben Prunty did a great job making these soundtracks, which have been so far playing in the background of this video. Number 3. The game doesn't force you into progression. You don't start at the beginning of a corridor, having only one way out. You are placed directly into the center of the map. The game doesn't tell you where to go and what to do. You are pushed into progress by yourself with curiosity and urgency. In early development, there was no food or water mechanics, which left players clueless. Adding this feature helped push players into the flow of the game, because instead of not knowing what to do, they now had clear goals: get food and get water. Even though the entire map is basically open from the start, the game limits you from going into late game areas by implementing limited oxygen and crush deaths of submarines. At the beginning, you have only 45 seconds of oxygen, before you have to go to the surface to take a breath. Submarines can take you deeper, but they require depth upgrades. Better equipment and upgrades require rarer resources that can only be found deeper, so each upgrade basically unlocks a new explorable area. To be able to craft better submarines and better equipment, you need to find multiple blueprints, so you cannot get something at one location. You have to explore.
New blueprint acquired.
Number 4. The scanner and creature design. The scanner is one of the best features they could implement in the game. It allows you to scan blueprints, local fauna and flora, and other points of interest. When you scan anything, you get a databank entry with information about it. So every fish and every plant is carefully designed so each part of their body can be explained. For example, did you know that the big organ on the crab squids is not their brain, but actually their stomach? Or did you know that the third stall behind the eyes of these cute little crabs in Subnautica 2 is actually a reproductive organ, so every time they stop to look at you, they are simultaneously flashing you? Yeah, if you don't believe me, just search it up. It's called periscopic clown crab. Number 5. The game doesn't want you to kill. In the game, there are no weapons. The lore explanation for this is that because of a massacre on another planet, all weapons were removed from survival blueprints. We find that out in the first game after crafting our first knife.
Weapons were removed from standard survival blueprints following the massacre on Abraxas Prime. The knife remains the only exception.
The knife is meant to be used to cut plants and kill small fish for digestion. Players quickly found out that if you just take the stasis rifle and stun a Leviathan over and over again while stabbing it with the survival knife, you will eventually kill it. Or getting in the prawn suit and grabbing with the grapple hook on a Leviathan and punching it with the other arm until it dies. Because of this, in Subnautica 2, the survival knife was replaced by the survival multi-tool, which you can use to fend off predator attacks, but you can no longer use it to deal damage. The drill arm on the prawn to break down large deposits was replaced by the sonic resonator, that creates a shockwave that shatters minerals but does not harm the fish, just scares them away. This is intentional because you are not supposed to be the hunter, but the one who is hunted. Instead of fighting, you have to avoid dangerous fish or distract them using flares. Not being able to defend yourself massively raises the fear factor, because you know that if that Leviathan grabs you, there is nothing you can do, and in my opinion, that is peak game design. That would be my point of view on Subnautica as a whole, and the reason why I have sunk almost 300 hours into these games. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll maybe see you next time.